I'm gonna be reacting to casually explained 10 pieces of life advice. Alright.
So today's my birthday, and before I choose where to invest my skill points, I thought it'd be a great idea to share the best pieces of advice that I picked up in my lifetime. The format's going to be a total of 10 quotes that I found really meaningful, and each will be followed by my interpretation. I chose 10 simply because I think it's pretty standard for these kinds of lists, and it's also the highest number I can count to, so let's get started. Number 10. So I was in a hotel one time and found this great quote in the Bible. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them. Basically just remember to pull out. Number 9.
Or I'll just backtrack a little. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them, male and female. He created them. Well, he didn't really say much, well, unless he's going to, but he went on to 9, I think. Most of the world is not male or female. Most plants which makes up, well, if you include bacteria, most biological organisms reproduce asexually by splitting, like bacteria do. Plants pretty much or all are both male and female in the same plant. Some plants are an exception, like marijuana for instance, where there's a male plant and a female plant, but majority of all plants are the hermaphrodites, they're both. And humans have always been really obsessed with giving everything a gender. In fact, some languages like German even give objects a gender, and there's no rule on how you can tell which object is what. Das Auto, which is the car, which is the feminine, or der Stuhl, the chair, which is masculine. Der Lippenstift, the lipstick, which is also masculine, or die Motorsäge, the chainsaw, which is feminine. It doesn't even make much sense by looking at which one is. It's just something, each single word you gotta memorize and to remember if it's male or female. But humans are really, really obsessed with male and female, but there's many species that are asexual, that only have one gender, that reproduces by itself. And outside of this earth, where there was this biological evolution on this earth, where there is male and female, which creates some genetic diversity. If there's life on other planets, which there probably is, there is no reason why there has to be male or female in the life forms that exist there. They could be asexual, or they could be more than two. They could be entirely different. Just I saw a video of slugs reproducing when they both have a male organ, and it's not a dick, it's called a male organ, and they both have it, so there's kind of like hermaphrodites, I think. But the universe doesn't really care about gender. It's something humans obsess over. Humans obsess over male traits, like a male being bigger or more aggressive or physically stronger, for instance. But that is not true with all species. It's largely related to how big a parental investment the member of that gender has. So if you have a male human, or most in mammals, he could impregnate a female every day. That's a small investment. A female, once impregnated, has a large investment. She's going to be not going to be able to choose anyone else for 9 months, and after 9 months, when the child is born, she has to raise it. That's a huge investment, so she has to be picky, and always the one with the small investment tends to have what we would refer to as feminine traits, and the member with the large investment, the small investment, the large investment has the feminine traits, and the one with the small investment has the masculine traits of being physically bigger and stronger, more aggressive, less choosy, and the feminine trait being very choosy, picking, or trying to pick somebody that's gonna be secure, reliable, somebody that will be supportive, that will hang around, stick around. There are species in birds where the female is physically stronger and more aggressive, and what happens in species like that, or there is a fish as well, I think they're called pipefish, where the male carries the female gives the eggs to the male, and then he has to carry them around and nurture them and raise them, so he has a large investment. In any species like that where the male does the raising, or where the male gets the eggs in the case of birds, and he incubates them and then raises them, the female has a very small investment. She just lays the eggs and then she's done, and the male has to raise them. In this case, the male is always going to be smaller and have what we would refer to as feminine traits, and that sort of gives us a more accurate picture about thinking of male and female. It's these traits that we call masculine are not, even though the word masculine originates from male, in some species it is the female that is masculine and the male that is feminine. And in species like the pipefish or certain birds where the male raises it, he has the feminine traits. And in some species like penguin, they have an equal investment. They raise them together, and they are the same size, the same strength, but same level of aggression. It perfectly shows how that influences the genders. So let's go on what he says about it. He was talking about God. Well, it says God said, I believe in evolution. I don't really believe in God in that way, but I think people should think different about male and female. We're just thinking from a human perspective or a mammalian perspective, but if you go outside the perspective of these species more closely related, also things quickly become very different, where you do get males being more like females and vice versa, and mostly other even more life forms being hermaphrodites. And then if you get to the microscopic ones, where they just create a division and they duplicate themselves without any male or female or anything, and the universe just really doesn't care about that. It's very much a thing that's here on Earth and nowhere else, and especially in mammals and a lot of the bigger animals we know.
Out. Number 9. No one plans to poop their pants. This just means to always plan ahead. The old buy a plunger before you need one, but also have an emergency fund and spend a bit below your means in case something goes wrong.
I agree with that. Be prepared. Like Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and if you plan for the worst, there was a philosopher once that said you should swallow a toad every morning so that you would not see anything more disturbing or unpleasing throughout the day. So they go through this premeditation of how crap everything could be, and then you'll be pleasantly surprised that most of the bad things don't happen, as opposed to having these big expectations how everything's gonna go smooth, and it's not gonna go smooth. and you'll be angry because it's outside your expectations. If you plan for shit to happen and shit doesn't happen, you think, great, it actually went not so bad today. You know, if you watch stuff like by these self-help gurus of, they think positive and good things will happen, and some people believe it and they do it, but it doesn't work. They disappoint you. You think you're the only one that it doesn't work. They all say it works, must work for everyone else, just doesn't work for you. It's not true. It just doesn't work. Unless you're lucky. I mean, it can always happen that you're lucky, and those are the lucky people are the ones who get to tell their stories. The unlucky ones don't get to tell their stories there, because they never made it in many cases. Like Holocaust survivors, only the survivors get to tell the story. Everyone who didn't survive didn't get to tell their story.
Number 8, Elon Musk can't dunk. That is to say that no one's cut from a different cloth, you can't be the best at everything, and it's important to play to your own strengths.
Elon Musk can't dunk. Has actually anyone checked up on this? Maybe he's assuming he can't. Maybe he can. Although he probably can't. I can't dunk. I'm too short. I don't aim very well either. He can't dunk either. Maybe you can dunk.
Strengths. Number 7. Always remember that 4 to the power of 1/2 is 2, 9 to the power of 1/2 is 3, 16 to the power of 1/2 is 4, and so on. Which just means don't forget your roots.
Yeah. Math can be great. I like math, but I hated it in school because it was taught to me in a way that I hated it. I didn't see the application. I only saw the application when I became an adult, and I started hobby projects, like building guitars, or becoming interested in physics and how things react and move. And then math became very interesting to me. And I love math, but I have to say that I hated it in school, and I didn't remember much of it from school. Everything I learned as an adult with interest. And that's where a lot of schools fail. They try to force something down your throat without making it interesting for you. It's dry and boring, and if you're bored and you're overworked and overstressed, you can't learn. You learn when you play. That's when you learn the best. There's this thing called playification. If you turn something into a game, that's fun. People get good results. They learn things very quickly. But yeah, well, that's my math opinion. I think I drifted off topic here.
Number 6. The key to success is mastering the fundamentals. Basically, just constantly make workers and don't let your chrono boost pile up. Number 5.
I'm not sure what that meant. The key to success is mastering the fundamentals. Probably some truth in that, but I think especially with financial success, there's also a huge element of luck in there. Sure, if you have the perfect formula, but who's got it? Those who have it don't share it, and those who don't have to discover it. And you'll crash and burn many times before you do, trust me. Most never will. But you can be successful in other things. In your hobbies you can be successful if you take this advice. For anything that you do personally, for yourself, I think this works. But we live in a world ruled by money, and there's big corporations and people like hogging it. There's none of it is yours unless you've inherited or you've got a very high earning job, and the key to success there is not just mastering the fundamentals, not enough. You need luck on top of that.
Number 5. The glass is neither half full nor half empty. It's a matter.
Well, it's a matter of perspective. Okay, I respect that. I really hate all these people saying that the glass is half full, as in supposed to saying whatever shit comes your way, you're supposed to see it for more or for better than it really is. My glass is half empty. I'm a pessimist. But this is realism. It's neither. I think the reality is that it's 50-50, but I am a pessimist. I've seen too much shit in my life. I think the game's fixed, so I like to see the glass half empty. Maybe I'm overcompensating because of all these tickets saying it's half full.
Your own perspective. I was texting a few girls once that I was like 5 foot 9 inches, and some saw it like I was taller than about half of most guys, while others saw it like I was shorter. I'm more of a realist though, so since then I've always made sure to specify that I'm talking about 2 separate measurements. Number 4, be attractive to the kind of person you'd like to be with, and also be yourself. I really like this because it's really one of the more thought-provoking oxymorons. Number 3.
Let's backtrack. Be attractive to the kind of person you'd like to be with, be yourself. Agree with that. I have not much to say. It's true. You don't want to be with well, obviously, it's obvious. It's true.
Number 3, hybrid builds usually suck, so min-max your life. As in, don't study and socialize, study or socialize.
Improve your social skills. I have Asperger's syndrome. My social skills suck. It's not much. It's an intellectual process for me. It's not something that I can do naturally like a normal person can, and therefore it's very draining to me. I can do it, but it is very much an intellectual process. I have to act it out. I'm like an actor playing a role, because otherwise I behave oddly, and it really drains me. And yeah, I have to recover. I like to stay home pretty much for days on end, even months. Doesn't bother me not going out for months. It's the best. I like it best that way. But unfortunately, I am rarely that lucky. People always drag me out to stuff, even during this whole virus bullshit where everybody's supposed to be isolated. Just I happened to be homeless at the time, and so I was around people all the time, and I would have so enjoyed to be isolated, because I find that the most pleasant.
This is something that really doesn't apply to everything, so use your judgment. One thing that I started doing that's a bit more advanced is completely cut out regular coffee, so now I only drink decaf, but I add my own cocaine. Number 2.
Brilliant. Yep, you can try that.
Cocaine. Number 2, be like science, which just means that everyone's happier when you just say you're wrong or that you don't know. So next time you realize you aren't on the right track in the middle of an argument, you can just try my usual line, which is, hey, I never really thought about it that way before. Thanks for showing me another perspective. Cant.
The cunt at the end. I agree with that. Although so many times I say to people, I actually do that. I tell when I don't know. And for some reason they don't get it. When I say I don't know, you keep getting nagged and say I don't know. I'm not a psychic. People sometimes don't want to understand that you just don't know. I don't know. Science is great, by the way, as long as it's true science. What I don't like is when scientists, and I'm drifting off topic here, when scientists are paid by corporation to prove something, then it's not true science anymore. Then it's like very much like a lawyer who has to defend the case regardless of whether he's guilty or not. He's paid to prove his innocence, whether it's true or not. And when a business or cartel like the pharmaceutical industry hire scientists, they are paid to create a product that's going to make them a profit. Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. What matters is profit, and so there's a lot of corruption in things like medicine, for instance. There's some truth in it, there's lots of corruption in it. It's up to you to find out what is true and what is not. But corruption can be found there.
And finally, my number one piece of advice is no matter how old you are, if you feel lost in your life and don't know what to do, just realize that you're not alone. No one has a clue what they're doing, and no one's path is a straight line trajectory from start to finish. Oftentimes it seems like there's a million things you could be doing, but nothing that's just right. But you have to get started before you know exactly where you're going, and the goals that you set aren't always destinations, but they are directions. And you can never know what you'll find if you're only looking from where you are right now. If anything, try something new, if only to prove that it's not the right choice, and you'll be amazed at the people you meet, the way your perspectives change, and ultimately what your ambitions and dreams become. And really, this is the best advice I could possibly give, and it's something I'm really going to incorporate into my own life.
Well, can't really disagree with that. That doesn't mean that I practice it though. I mean, to some degree. But then I am a person with Asperger's, and the journey of interacting with lots of people, and it's just too dreadful for me. That's why I avoid it. But if you don't mind, do it. It's just, yeah. I just don't enjoy the process of dealing with people. It drains me to no end. Not criticizing the advice, it's true, and yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah, and it's something I'm really going to incorporate into my own life. Like right after I get off Reddit.
What's he doing here? Don't rely on motivation for anything. Never underestimate the power of small good deeds, because it always matters. Yeah, okay. Is that where he got his things from? I think he has a sense of humor. Alright. The end.